Well, the RCMP are issuing a warning that threats against the Prime Minister and his cabinet are on the rise. These new details come from the Protective Policing Unit. The CBC's Natalie Collada is on this story for us from Toronto. So, hey, Natalie, what kind of threats are we hearing about?
Well, Hannah, what we're hearing about right now are severe threats to the life and person of elected officials in this country. The RCMP data suggests that between January of this year and July of this year, they had 130 threat files that they had to create. If you compare that to the year before, that same time period, there were about 30. So there is a significant jump here. In last year, in total, in 2019, 215 threat files were open. So we can think about this in terms of recent events. We know that the RCMP are not getting into the details of exactly the nature of these threats, but we do have some of these recent examples. The first one, let's start off with Rideau Hall. This was just a month ago in July, where a Canadian Forces reservist was arrested after allegedly ramming the gate of the Governor General's residence of Rideau Hall. That's where we know the PM and his family are currently residing in sort of that location while their home, 22 Sussex, is being renovated. According to police, this reservist was heavily armed. He had 2 shotguns, a revolver, 4 knives, a lot of ammunition as well. And he was arrested and is now facing 22 charges. And then if we fast forward, we know that there have been a series of online threats we've been hearing a lot about recently, specifically that to MP Catherine McKenna. We know there was an incident at her constituency office where an individual approached the constituency office. A staffer opened the door to say the office is closed, and then that individual continued to have a tirade, a verbal tirade, and of course that caused some concern there. McKenna calling the entire incident unacceptable. Here's a little bit about what she had to say about that recently.
It's unacceptable. I don't know what more to say. I mean, the law enforcement is involved, but really we need to make sure that we stand up against this, that this isn't an isolated incident. It's not just involving me, my staff members, my family. This too often there are incidents against politicians, often female politicians.
And speaking about that, Hannah, we do know that Ontario MPP Lisa MacLeod once again under police protection after a series of threatening emails. This coming from a Twitter yesterday from her chief of staff talking about that, also talking about another unexplained mischievous incident around her personal vehicle. So this is something we are seeing a little bit more of this year, significantly more of this year. And it's something that has a lot of people talking.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely unacceptable for sure. Is there any indication what's behind the threats?
So this is something that's kind of interesting. We know last year the Privy Council, the clerk of the Privy Council, Michael Warnick, talked a little bit about this. He said, and he issued a warning that political discourse was reaching new lows, leading to leaders, his concern that could end up being assassinated. Take a look at this quote. He said, "The rising tide of incitements to violence with people using terms like treason and traitor in open discourse. I am worried somebody is going to be shot in this country this year during the political campaign." More recently in the House, he talked a little bit more about this, saying Canadians would be shocked and dismayed to learn sort of the level of harassment and threats that politicians in this country do receive while they are in office. Hannah?
Natalie, thank you for the latest. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.